Yo, so let's get things started with Pack A Lunch. We got five fights, man. Now, they all went the distance, but they weren't all the same, which is always just a crazy interesting thing with this one, right? So, man, like our second fight of the night, right? It was the Bantamweight Xiao Long against Yu Su Young. And, or is it Su Yu Young? No, I think it's Yu So Young. And now this fight, right? Xiao Long, he started the fight slowly. I will say Yu Shu Yong was the one that, came out, putting everything together, landing really well. So, Zhao Long, I think he was the home fighter, right? And with him, you could see that he is wanting to put on a show for the crowd. Right, he wants to put on a display. There's a lot of energy going on, right? All of that is pretty evident. He's amped, right? He wants to fight. He wants to look good. So the first round wasn't the best, but the second round, he's still throwing a lot. He's still missing a lot, but he's now landing, right? He's landing more, and you can see Yo is slowing, right? He's not being as effective. And that was the thing. And then that continued into the third round, right? Zhao Long was, doing well. He was landing well and landing heavy shots, right? That's the thing. I think Long had the power. So all of that is going on. And I think you could definitely see the tide had turned. So I will say it was a little surprising when Yu Su Yong got the nod. Now, it was 29-28, which that's what you thought it would be, but for Long. But yeah, it wasn't a robbery, anything along those lines, but it was a little bit of a surprise. You know what I mean? We'll say that was a little bit of a surprise. So the next one was Austin Hubbard against Rong, right, in the lightweight division. And look, with this fight, Hubbard comes to fight, right? He's a dog. But when you looked at this fight, you just thought Zhu probably has a little bit too much. And that's essentially how this one played out. Zhu was landing the jab well, landing kicks. He had very good movement, right? He was stuffing takedowns. He just looked the sharper fighter out there. Now, Austin Hubbard never gave up, was trying all the way through, but he just didn't really have answers, right? Didn't really have anything that he could offer to slow and stop Zhu, right? So it just allowed Zhu just to implement his game and work at his pace, right? And a fight like this, you want to disrupt what your opponent is doing, right? And especially when there is maybe a slight skill gap, but yeah, Hubbard just not able to disrupt the flow, so Rong Zhu walks away with, now it was surprising some gave it 29-28 because I don't think Hubbard won a round, right? It's not to say he was blown out in the water or anything like that, but he didn't win a round. You know what I mean? So I think it was 30-27, which one judge gave. But yeah, Rong Zhu gets the win. Now, I think I picked this fight right, but it was a bit of a shock, right? So we had the lightweights closing off the prelims, and it was Maheshate Hayisaer against Gage Young. Now, when you actually saw them in there, Maheshate looks like a welterweight against Gage Young. It was like, yo, what is going on? They definitely looked like they were in different weight classes. It was crazy. And Maheshate had the reach advantage, you know. You're just like, oh, I'm watching this fight and I'm thinking, I might have picked wrong here, right? But no, Gage Young showed what you do when someone's got a reach advantage, right? You put them under pressure, you keep, those shots inside, you let fly, right? You hit the body, you disrupt everything they're trying to do. You know what I mean? That's what you do, right? He went for some he got a few, I think he got a couple of takedowns, right? But even when he didn't get a takedown, it's still something to make Maheshate think, right? It still gets you inside. And when he was inside, right, you're landing elbows, you're landing shots. And I think Maheshate might have had the more power, but when they were inside, like, Young landed a couple of big elbows that you could see Maheshate did not like. I mean, to be honest, I don't think anyone's gonna like an elbow, right? I think I'd rather not take an elbow, you know what I mean? But yeah, you could see that Maheshate was mad uncomfortable with what Gage Young was throwing at him. So that was an impressive win for Gage Young, I would say, you know what I mean? So we then jumped to the flyweights. It was Kevin Borjas against Mudaerji. And, right, so the thing is, these were very similar fights, right? These were very similar fights. Now, this fight was the second fight on the main card. But, it's just one fight away from the Young Maheshate fight. And what you saw Young do, keep that pressure on, right? Be disruptive. These were all things that Borjas did not do. Right? He didn't do. It was, yeah, you're just like, because Mudaerji had the reach, you know what I mean? He's landing the jab, he's landing kicks, he is just doing everything he wants when he wants it, right? He's got good movement. Borjas would steam forward at times, right? But a lot of times he wasn't working behind a jab, right? So he wasn't putting anything out there to hide a takedown, right? To hide him trying to get inside. So when he did shoot, it was clear that's what he was trying to do, right? So it meant that Mudaerji was able to stuff and evade and get out the way, and I think at one point Mudaerji, Borjas' corner was like, he's tired, and I'm just like, I mean, he's not. Like, he's not. Now, as Bisping said, it's not like the corner was doing everything they could to get Borjas to come out and do his thing in the third round because he needed a stoppage. That's the only way he's winning. But I kind of think sometimes when you're like, he's tired, this is your time, right? When you're there and you're trying to hit someone and you could go, they're not tired. They're not slowing down, right? Do you go, fuck, I was banking, my corner said he was tired. I was banking on him being tired and he's not tired. Shit, right? I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? How you feel after that, right? But yeah, Borjas, he just wasn't, throwing enough or putting enough out there to get Mudaerji to change what he was doing. So that was a clear win for Mudaerji. And funny enough, right, it was kind of similar in a way to our featured bout, right? And the last fight we are looking at here. And that's the heavyweight clash between Waldo Cortes-Acosta and Sergei Pavlovich. Now, I think with this fight, right, and I think it's something, because Pavlovich, he lost a couple, but he came back and he won that fight against Jahizo Rosenstruck. Now, in that fight, he won it, but it was a decision. He wasn't happy with his performance. I mean, both were a bit lackadaisical, right? I think everyone who watched that fight realizes that, both of them could have thrown more, And so with this fight, Pavlovich definitely threw more. He was putting shots together. He was looking really frigging good. I think it was the most significant fights Pavlovich has thrown in a fight, right? And you were just like, how is Cortes-Acosta still here? Because Pavlovich landed some big shots and he definitely rocked Cortes-Acosta at least 3 times, right? So props to Cortes-Acosta for sticking in there because, boy, right? You thought on a few occasions that he weren't going to last that fight. He was not going to last that fight, but he did. He did, and that was impressive. But it's, like the Borjas fight, right? Cortes-Acosta just wasn't doing enough. Like, he'd occasionally burst forward, but it was always a little bit predictable. And Pavlovich was just on point with the counters. So when Cortes-Acosta would, do a burst forward, Pavlovich was bum, bum, bum. You know what I mean? Just landing. And you think he had the quicker hands. So he was able to counter and just stop Cortes-Acosta in his tracks. But Cortes-Acosta, what he needed to, yes, he got hit, but you have to follow through. You have to keep on going and keep throwing, right? It's that big thing of a 1-2 isn't always going to do it, right? It's the 4th, 5th shot that then gets through. So Cortes-Acosta needed to throw more, and he just didn't. He needed to be more active, and he just wasn't. Now, what was crazy was at the end of the fight, Cortes-Acosta was raising his hand, right? His corner and him are all acting like he could have won the fight. And I have no clue on what planet do they think that he was anywhere near winning that fight. But the other crazy thing is, a bit like the Mudaerji fight. No, it wasn't the sumo. Which one was I? The the Rong Austin Hubbard fight, right? Only one judge gave it 30-27. The other two gave it 29-28. And I do not know what round they thought Waldo Cortes-Acosta won, because he did not win any. That was just bonkers. That was bonkers. But this fight, it might have gone the distance, but Sergei Pavlovich really did put on a show. He really did perform. He showed he is a better fighter than in the Rosenstruck fight. So props to Sergei Pavlovich, because he did everything in his power to try and get a stoppage. Right? You could go, maybe throws a bit more, maybe takes it down. You know what I mean? Like, get some ground about something like that. But other than those two things, I think Pavlovich did a very good job of putting a stamp on this one. All right? And that fight leads us into our co-main event.